Lindy and Eddie Tamir. Thank you for being on J Air, and it's great to be here at Classic. GIF is about to begin, and we have the opening. No, we have the program launch this week. What's happening? What's the film? It sounds like it's quite confronting.
Yeah, we've got a program launch, but it's not a film that's in the program.
Okay.
But we're opening with the Surviving Malka, the Malka life story. With the three sisters will be here in person. But this is our program launch.
Yep.
And actually, you've just walked in exactly the moment the program's just
Has
arrived.
arrived, yes.
Truck full of boxes and boxes of them. So we're quite excited to look at it and feel it because it's heavier than normal.
It's very heavy.
Yeah, we've got
And it smells fresh.
and so in a month the program begins, and I think we're the most excited about, in a fun way, for our opening film, which opens.
That was the first film I was going to ask
Yeah,
about,
so
because it's called Bad Shabbos, which
Yeah.
I'm already laughing just at the
Yeah.
title. So tell us a little bit about that film.
So it's about a bad Shabbos, a Shabbos dinner in America, and a Shabbos dinner that goes wrong. Yeah, you want us to talk to it, Eddie? And I'll just tell you that the dates are October 19 in Melbourne,
Right.
And then October 20 in Sydney.
In Sydney.
Yeah,
So that's
and then,
that is the opening night.
and it's playing at all the other cities as well. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
So tell us about Bad Shabbos.
So, yes, as opposed to Good Shabbos,
Yes.
firstly, it's a fascinating essay on the film, given that it's an independent film.
Okay.
And it's been released in America like about 6 to 7 months ago, and it's a phenomenon. It's what they call a sleeper hit, and it's been running for months and months in various cinemas around America, and it's a hoot. It's an entertaining film. It starts off, at a Shabbos dinner with the various family members, the children of the parents who bring their various partners, with all the obvious quirks of intermarriage and no marriage and every perspective on that,
Right.
which all is a pretty traditional setup, but then it goes into a bit of a high gear of it's got a genre element to it, where somebody dies.
At the Shabbos table.
Just saying, and then that,
Can't say too much.
and then that kicks into a whole lot of fun, intrigue, and a bit of drama, and it's probably a kind of film that I've never seen before. We're really proud to be presenting it as our opening.
And we have extra confidence because it's an enormous hit in the US at cinemas. Yeah, just new now.
And it's nice to start off with something light-hearted too.
We don't always start with something like that.
Well, I mean, the program launch is
Yeah.
anything but
Yeah.
light-hearted, and we'll talk about that in a moment
Yeah.
as well.
Well, famously, speaking about GIF launch films, we haven't always been known as starting with fun. One of the famous stories is we started off with the Oscar-winning film Son of Soul, and that is the least fun film on earth. An amazing film, but obviously not. It's got zero fun to it, and this is a whole different ball game, and we're excited to be, opening up with some laughs.
I'm really excited about this film. Yeah.
Eleanor the Great.
Eleanor the Great.
It looks
Yeah.
terrific already.
I'm so
It looks like
proud
somebody
that
at
it's-
Montefiore
Yeah, I'm
Homes.
so proud that it's launching at GIF, and famously Scarlett Johansson directed it, and it's her first film,
Yep.
yes, that she's ever directed.
Debut feature. Yep.
Yeah, and it has a very famous, help me Eddie,
June Squibb,
yeah,
who is 94
here
years old,
on our cover.
and
She's
she plays
94.
a 94-year-old
Wow.
Yeah.
lady who is basically the story centres around her, and it is a beautiful, nuanced drama with some comedy, and it's got like a big twist in it as well, just to keep people guessing.
Sounds wonderful. Now, on the other end of the spectrum of entertainment, I can't even call it entertainment, is Claude Lanzmann's Shoah. How many buckets of popcorn can I eat in 9 hours?
Yeah, so we're talking about a 10-hour slot in the festival. with breaks, and basically, I think people forget what a masterpiece this film is. It's the 40th anniversary in a fully restored 4K version.
Wow.
And what people forget is that it was groundbreaking. So when people talk about depicting horror, real life horror in documentary style, usually there's archival footage of the drama and the horror. So Claude Lanzmann was the first one to create a style which went into a horror like the Holocaust and had zero archival footage. So all he used is contemporary visuals of the sites of horror. So you might go to a concentration camp 40 years ago and it's got meadows and flowers and butterflies.
Yep.
And so it's got that very eerie, interesting through line.
Yep.
And then interviews talking heads of perpetrators and victims. And so that blend, which we think, that's nothing new, because the reason we say that is because so many people have copied that style today, but he was the first one.
And it's the quintessential Shoah film.
Will I mention this one?
Sure.
Because so we're playing it, there's a new film on Claude Lanzmann. And if you're not built to watch 9 hours of Shoah, for me this is so powerful. He's not alive anymore, Claude Lanzmann, but this director has turned the camera on Claude Lanzmann, because you don't see him in the film, and it's him setting up with his cameras.
Oh, really?
And what you're getting out of it is a summary of the whole Shoah film and an insight of it, but it plays a little bit like a suspense because you're watching him approach perpetrators. Yeah. And it was played in the Berlin Film Festival, and it got major attention there.
Yep. Very premiered in Berlin this year, 2025. And basically, as Lindy says, it plays like a thriller, but it's the making of Shoah. But the making of Shoah, but then turning the camera, just like if we turn the camera on Sia now, it turns the camera on Claude Lanzmann.
And that goes for 1.5 hours.
And goes into the making of from his point of view.
That's fascinating.
Yep.
That's fascinating. It's the 13th GIF in Australia. Where does, and it weighs a lot, so there's a lot here. Where does GIF sit in the pantheon of Jewish international film?
Sure. There's probably
internationally.
There's probably like 120 to 150 Jewish film festivals in the world.
Right.
A substantial number. GIF sits pretty high up in the scale in terms of admissions. So we're one of the biggest. States like in America that have more Jews in that state than Australia does.
Yeah.
So you're talking about San Francisco and Atlanta. They're kind of the big ones, and GIF is in that ballpark of scale, being one of the biggest in the world.
Well, Shkoyach, it's built up over its bar mitzvah here now.
Yeah, it means a large percentage of our Jewish community of only 100,000 people attend the film festival.
Which is terrific.
Combined with a lot of individuals seeing a lot of films. So there are the people that come and see 20 films. So there's that builds the admits too.
And the journey's been interesting over the 13 years because obviously it was smaller. This was much smaller. And so therefore was the festival. And really we spoke a bit about it before, which is this whole question of premieres, of world premieres as well as Australian premieres. And there's a big battle for those because if it's got a Jewish theme, there's many countries where Jewish stories are told. And therefore the film festivals of that particular country would be competing for the films that we want to play at GIF, as well as the Melbourne International and Sydney International Film Festival. So it's quite a bit of a thrust and parry and a hustle required to land premieres of these films.
I
So
can
that's what
imagine.
we work very hard on all year. And luckily, we get our fair share.
What about Australian content this year?
Big year for Australian content.
Good.
Very excited. So we have 3 feature documentaries, which are 2 of them which are world premieres, 1 which is an Australian premiere, and 4 shorts that we have funded, as in GIF has funded,
Right.
together with Jamie Beale Cower's Jewish Production Fund. We gave between us $30,000 to the best submissions by Australian filmmakers on short films with a Jewish theme, and Jamie curated and selected those, and they'll be premiering at the festival. And that's a very exciting slot being presented by the filmmakers. Back to the feature docs. So one of the so it's the Australian premiere of the Frank Lowy focused film called To Be a Jew, which goes through Frank Lowy's history, and it's very powerful. We have the Australian premiere of Esther Takach's new film. So we also premiered in previous years her documentary Narrow Bridge, and that was a big hit in Australia, and it went to travel the world and is still travelling the world. And her new film is called Rising: Voices of Protest and Hope.
Oh, wow.
And
I was going to ask how October 7, 23 has influenced the film.
so she is a psychologist, a therapist, a trauma therapist, in fact, in Australia. Has spent a long time in Israel, and she is dealing with many things, including the pre-October 7 pro-democracy protests and the division in Israeli society through that, and then obviously moving into October 7 and beyond, and looking for some kind of perspective and healing process in amongst all of that. So it's exciting to be a world premiere of that sort of stuff, and so hopefully everyone comes and sees that. The third one, which is a bit quirky, but is also a world premiere. I'm not sure if you guys will be familiar with it, but I am, being a bit of an old timer. So Tommy Tico.
Yep.
Familiar with that name?
I'm very familiar with that name.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I didn't realise in all the years the fact that he was a Hungarian Holocaust survivor.
No, I did not know.
Yep.
Wow.
Who came to Australia already as a trained composer and conductor.
Wow.
And became the iconic band leader of live television music variety shows for, I think, I'm not sure if it was the 9 or 7 network.
Right. It was 9.
Yep, and into the Don Lane show and all of that.
9. Yep.
And so iconic character.
Absolutely.
Who all the musical variety performers of today, of yesteryear and today, they herald him with being being the maestro and being their inspirer. So Julie Anthony and Barry Crocker, Simon Tedeschi, many others are in the film interviewed and give their perspective on him, as well as us learning about his story. So a very exciting, kind of a quirky thing. And apparently, not apparently, he recomposed the music for what is our national anthem today.
Oh, really?
Until today, Advance Australia Fair is Tommy Tico's.
You were starting to mention October the 7th.
Yes, I was, and because obviously
There's 2 crucial films. A Letter to David. I think we viewed about 50 already Holocaust, October 7 films that have been made in the past year, and this is what we
it's a terribly
down to.
difficult choice to try and make, I'm sure,
it's,
and just to go through that vetting process.
Yeah, we've been through a lot of
So
that detail.
just a couple of points about those 2 films. So Holding Liat is about Liat, who was a hostage held in Gaza for 50 days, and then fortunately was one of the hostages that got released. So it follows the story of her father, who he's an American citizen as well, and it follows his journey to America, trying to get the American, first the Israeli and then the American government to do something about the situation
back, yeah.
and help getting his daughter back. So it follows that story, and particularly interesting because there's as are many of the hostages that have been released and those that haven't. A lot of the southern communities were very liberal-minded, peace-focused, coexistence-focused people, and the Liat family is particularly of that genre, and so they give a very interesting perspective on the journey to release and post-release. The second film is Letter to David, and it's so crazy and painful to consider that Letter to David is the filmmaker Tom Chauval's ode to his friend David Cunio, who till today is still a hostage in Gaza. So it gives you two different types of stories, and the reason, without going into too much detail, that Tom Chauval made this film is he previously had a film in Berlin, a feature film called Youth, which featured David Cunio and his brother as the actors in this film. So he has a relationship from there. So there's clips from the actual film called Youth, as well as the test footage of the auditions of these two brothers in their kibbutz all those years ago, which paints this tranquil pastoral picture of kibbutz life before, the tragedies and horrors of October 7.
They were real peaceniks.
Yep.
Which was a lot of the people down south in those kibbutzim. So you've made us laugh a little bit, you've made us cry a lot. Any films that are going to make us learn something new?
In terms of learning, I think I would say there's a whole other strand of films in the program that feature Jewish change makers that are world-class change makers. So, and they're change makers because they have things to teach the world. So we've got a documentary about Elie Wiesel. We have a documentary about Art Spiegelman. We have a documentary about Sigmund Freud. We have one about Franz Kafka, Andy Kaufman, the comedian from Saturday Night Live, the great Jewish-Israeli illustrator Joseph Bau. We have the story, a feature film about him, and he was an Auschwitz survivor that actually features, was on Schindler's List, and he actually features at the end of Schindler's List in the credit sequence. So many interesting people with things to teach us, and another two others in that list are Jerry Lewis. And so
that'll be fantastic.
So the Jerry Lewis film is fascinating from a general audience point of view, as well as a cinephile point of view, because he made a film called The Day the Clown Cried, which has never been released till this day, and it's about Jerry Lewis playing a comedian in a concentration camp, trying to entertain children. And Jerry Lewis had ambivalent feelings about that film, and that's why it never got released. So it goes into the making of the film, interviewing Jerry Lewis, and then...
And what he felt about it.
Yep, and then moving into other fans of Jerry Lewis, Martin Scorsese and Mel Brooks. Wow. And it's a very fascinating document of him and that particular film.
I'm going to have to get a pack, aren't I, to try and sample some of all these. You've done an amazing job piecing all this together.
Thank you.
So thank you for being with us.
A couple of other little things, if we've got another minute. I just want to mention the Israeli films. So we've got a great selection of Israeli films this year. High quality art films like Pink Lady, which
one of my favourites.
We have box office hits like The Ring, which is featuring, written and directed and acting by Adir Miller, who's one of the great Israeli comedians, and he tells his personal family Holocaust story, but with a kind of comedic edge
A
to
light
certain
touch.
elements to it.
Right.
And then the sequel to Matchmaking, which was the matchmaking comedy hit set between the Sephardi and Ashkenazi Haredi community in Israel, and that was a huge hit for Israel and for us in previous years, and this is the sequel. And so we've got that bit of interesting, fun entertainment with that, hard edge of the Sephardi Ashkenazi sort of ongoing drama.
Wow. I don't know how you do it to get together a program like this in less than a year, or just on the year.
It's a passion.
Yeah. So well done, and I'm really looking forward to seeing us, just a sample. That's all I can fit in.
One little story
Please.
as we go.
Yep.
We have a permanent Yiddish theatre exhibition at the Classic, which maybe you want to wander your camera over on sometime, your choice. But why it's relevant to GIF this year is we have a film called Al Chet, a Yiddish film, one of the first Yiddish talkies ever, called I Have Sinned in English, starring a young Rachel Holzer. Rachel Holzer, there's a photo of her in the Classic because she emigrated to Australia and became the queen of Yiddish theatre in Australia. So it has very Australian relevance, and we're really proud to be presenting this restoration of Al Chet. Here we are in our Yiddish exhibition, our permanent exhibition at the Classic, which presents the history of Yiddish theatre in Melbourne, from Carlton and into this building where the Kadima was based in Cinema 1 at the Classic. And then we have the stars of the Yiddish theatre, all the way on this end from Yankel Weislitz, moving all the way to Rachel Holzer down on this bottom right. And what's interesting about Rachel Holzer in relation to this year's GIF program is that Rachel Holzer was a star of Polish Yiddish cinema. And one of the first Yiddish talkies was a film called Al Chet, which is I Have Sinned. And Rachel Holzer is the star of that film, made in the early 30s in Yiddish. And she then ultimately emigrated to Australia and became the queen of the Yiddish theatre stage in Melbourne and wider Australia. So very exciting to be bringing all those pieces together at GIF and at the Classic.